I'm going with Mason Jones. He's going to win this fight. It's going to be gruely. It might be fight of the night. Might be fight of the night. Front runner so far. Out of all the fights, I think this one has potential to be fight of the night so far. You're watching The Fight Guy, and this is my full card UFC London recap, breakdown, reaction, the best moments from the card that you need to take away. We have a potential fight of the year front runner following the fights last night. A lot of young talent stood out. A lot of hometown guys showed out, and some hometown guys disappointed. There were some controversies on this card. We're going to get into all of it. This is going to be my full card breakdown reaction to all the violence from yesterday, and it was a great card. I'd say UFC London delivered, although we didn't get any submission wins. We did get some finishes, some beautiful knockouts, and some technical decisions. So we're going to break it all down for you. My personal notes, takeaways, everything you need to understand moving forward, and we'll start with the first fight on the prelims. Our only women's fight on the card after the other one fell through due to a dramatic weight miss. We got Shanelle Dyer took on Ravena Oliveira in a short fight. Got the card launched off in the right direction. We got our early knockout in the prelims from a women's fighter. It was a fun fight. Best way to start a card. I don't really have much takeaways from this. Neither woman in this fight had a win in the UFC previously, so it's nice to see, you know, whether or not Shanelle won or Ravena won, that they won in dramatic fashion. So good for Shanelle. She improves to 7-1, first win in the UFC, and gets a performance of the night bonus. So congrats to her. Ravena Oliveira, good luck in your future. Sorry, I'm all over the place with this laser pointer. It's pretty cool to use. Next fight, Shem took on Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady. There is a lot of hate watching going on. Shamrock's not a very popular fighter, even in his home country. Turned out to be a turd in the toilet. Doesn't want to fight. His corner doesn't even want to coach him, I'm pretty sure, moving forward. He wouldn't listen to his corner. And versus Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady made great adjustments, kept listening to his corner, stayed disciplined during the fight, won each and every single one of the rounds. I definitely regret picking Shamrock. I wish I could have tuned into the hate watching, but Shamrock only decided to fight, I guess you could say, the third round, where we really got any sorts of volume or activity or any urgency out of Shamrock, and it wasn't even the entire round. He lost that round. Successful hate watch was the only green takeaway from Shamrock. I'm allergic to his performance, so we're going to move on. Great win for Abdul-Kareem Al-Selwady. Shamrock should be cut from the UFC, but honestly, I'd like to see him get finished. I'm never picking him again. The guy doesn't even want to be a fighter. We'll move on. I'll leave it at that. And another fight I regret picking. I really wanted Louie Sutherland to be good in the UFC. I picked Louie Sutherland to beat Brando Peričić out of City Kickboxing. You guys know, notoriously, I like a lot of those guys. I typically pick them in fights, but I went against the grain. You know, sometimes you got to take a little bit of risk, and I took some risk with Louie Sutherland, and I won't be doing that again. 3 takedown attempts in the first round, like right off the bat too, in space. He was successful with one of them all the way across the entire octagon, but shooting an open, not setting his takedown attempts up that well, it kind of showed that he was scared to strike with Brando, and that's exactly what we got. Louie Sutherland curled up in a ball. It was a bad look. It was a bad look. I've been selling this guy to a lot of people, and I'm going to stop. I got this scammer's hat going on, and I've been trying to scam a lot of MMA fans' opinions of Louie Sutherland, and I'm going to stop with that. Hopefully he proves me wrong. I like to be proved wrong, and I really want him to be good, but I'm done buying stock in it. Great win for Brando. He is, in fact, that guy. Controlled pretty much the entire fight. Sure, he got taken down briefly, but only for a few seconds, and he made Louie Sutherland pay for it. Damaging shots. Every shot he threw pretty much landed. It says 34 strikes, 20 significant. I think they're all pretty significant. Louie Sutherland did not take that damage well, as you can see with his little image here. But we'll move on. Great win for Brando. Started the card off rough. I was 1-2, but we turned it around real quick. Just like this Lithuanian did. Mantas Kondratavičius, 0-2 on pronouncing his name, beat the hell out of Antonio Trocoli for 3 rounds. I thought he could have gotten a finish. He did sort of burn himself out in the earlier rounds, especially round 2. You could really see him visibly start to take a toll on his gas tank. I thought he should have disengaged in a lot of the grappling this fight. Now, Antonio wasn't making it easy. He was holding on like with everything that he had in him. But Mantas had a couple, you know, I guess, exchanges this fight, especially in the second and third round, where he chose to clinch with Antonio instead of disengage, where he was winning the battle in the open octagon the entire fight. You could see with the total strikes here, especially significant strikes. I thought he could have finished Antonio almost every round this fight, and it's almost like maybe he tried too early, and that's why he kind of gassed out, but maybe he needed a rest, so that's why he was chilling in the clinch. But I don't know. It was a tough sell. He could have finished Antonio. I mean, I know he was really gassed, but I mean, he could have finished Antonio if he would have put a little bit more output there. But I'm not going to take away from the performance any more than that. I was really impressed with Mantas, but also I don't think Antonio's UFC caliber. I think they need to cut him immediately, and we'll move on to the next fight. All these fights have been great up to this point. I mean, not that this one wasn't great. This was a great fight too. Mario Pinto took on Felipe Franco in a heavyweight bout, and it's funny because Felipe was visibly smaller than Mario. I'm not sure the backstory on this. I haven't put a bunch of research into it. I'm not quite sure if Felipe's trying to transition and move up to heavyweight, but he's a really small heavyweight. Despite that, he did very well. He's durable. He was taking a lot of heavy shots from Mario, not as much as you would expect. Mario was just playing really smart, not throwing a lot of power. And there's pros and cons to that. Like I wrote here, he was patient. He found all of Felipe's patterns early. Felipe, people thought he was like some big submission artist. He's got 4 submission wins and 10 knockout wins as well, but he's finished all of his fights. So I think Mario was sort of trying to not bait, but get a read on Felipe's grappling tendencies, see, you know, what he was trying to get going early in that fight, and I think that's why Mario started a little bit slow, but I thought he controlled that fight for the most part. He won 2 rounds, I think rounds 2 and rounds 3. I thought he should be able to knock out a smaller guy, or at least knock him down. Not that he didn't get the knockout, but he didn't have any knockdowns this fight. He wasn't throwing a lot of power. You could see here, only had 34 out of 137 total strikes land significantly. So, yeah, Mario was playing it pretty safe, you know. But, yeah, I thought he could have done a little bit more damage to Felipe, so I wanted to see that. So, yeah, I still have some questions for Mario moving forward. And Felipe, the only thing I want to see from him is to take some time to grow into this division. Unless he wants to take some fights at light heavyweight. I don't want to see him fight maybe until this fall. Bulk up this summer. Lack of overall activity. Maybe he was scared of the power. And if you're scared of Mario's power, I mean, there's a lot of other dangerous guys in the heavyweight division. So, great fight. Technical heavyweight fight. And you can't take too much away from Felipe for being a much smaller man in the biggest division there is. So, we'll move on. Great win for Mario. 2-2. A great fight. Nailed this one spot on, I'd say. Nathaniel Wood took on Lucien Queta. Nathaniel Wood was a pretty big underdog. Not sure why. I said in my predictions video he's going to win this fight. I think the odds should be a lot closer, but it was a slow start for Nathaniel Wood. I'd say Queta took the first round without a doubt, and then Wood definitely took the next 2 rounds. He was just heating up as the fight went on. The thing about Nathaniel Wood, people call him a decision merchant, a boring fighter. Look, there's plenty of decisions. Just like the previous, well, not the previous fight, the next fight, the fight of the year contender. There's plenty of decisions that are fun to watch. They have exciting moments, and at many points during the fight, there's potential for the fight to end. And this was an exciting fight, in my opinion. I enjoyed watching it. It was a very high-level technical fight, and it's good that we got all of it on this card. We didn't get any submissions, but we got early knockouts. We got not great matchmaking, like one guy's way more outgunned than the other, and we got technical wars on this fight, and we got boring decisions, which we will get to. But this was a technical war. I really enjoyed watching it. Not the casual fan enjoyed watching it, and most casuals probably are upset that their parlays got busted and they picked the favorite here. But Nathaniel Wood's great at making adjustments mid-fight. And this is such a big thing with fighters that doesn't get talked about much. You hear it in the commentary, but a lot of people don't really know what that means. Oh, he's making great adjustments. He's not listening to his corner. Nathaniel Wood will take all the advice like a sponge from his corner in between rounds, after round 1, after round 2, make immediate adjustments, and you'll watch it live during the fight. And that's what makes it fun to watch for me and for people that aren't casual fans. Nathaniel Wood really took away Lucien Queta's lead leg as the fight went on. You could see he landed 33 strikes to that leg. It was causing all sorts of problems for Queta, and that just shows you, right, Queta might have been the, I guess you could say, more valuable striker, the more lethal striker on paper. But if you're not able to make those adjustments as the fight goes on, Like if Nathaniel Wood's chopping up your lead leg and now you're losing power, you have to switch your stance and you're just more predictable. You got to call that out, and that's what Nathaniel Wood does really well. And Chieta did not make a lot of great adjustments. So this is a good example where if you have a great fighter that doesn't make a lot of adjustments, but you have a mid fighter that makes really good adjustments, even if that mid fighter doesn't have a great chin or is bad in a certain area of the game, if he's able to make those adjustments and catch up, he'll win a decision. He'll upset fights. Underdog will win, and that's exactly what happened here. I was really impressed with Nathaniel Wood. I was also impressed with Chieta as well, except he wasn't able to make adjustments, and he wasn't able to check any of those leg kicks, and you got to be able to do that, and especially in a division as deep as the featherweight division. So great win for Nathaniel Wood. I think it's his best win to date. Chieta's a very respectable opponent. I thought he looked good. I think what was it? Is his debut? Let me pull up. I gotta check this in real time. Yeah, that was his UFC debut. Check it out. Look at that. So, great win for Wood. Great big underdog win. Congratulations if you took that. And we'll move on to the featured fight on the prelim. Excuse my handwriting. This isn't my handwriting. I had my girlfriend do it while I was getting a back massage, because that's the kind of lifestyle that I be living. Mason Jones took on Axel Sola, in my opinion, what is front runner for the current fight of the year. Mason Jones, I said it in the beginning of the video, saw it in my prediction video. He's one of my favorite fighters that's not ranked in the lightweight division. Mike Davis, Chase Hooper, and Mason Jones always shift spots for my favorite unranked fighter, depending on who fought most recently. But Mason Jones, every fight is an instant classic, instant banger, and this was a perfect example of it. Can't take away anything negative from Axel Sola with that being said. It takes two to tango. It takes two to create fight of the year. It's not a one-sided beatdown with cool clips and, you know, cool sequences. And no, it's a war, and that's exactly what this was. I thought Mason Jones won every round, but it was still close. Axel Sola had moments. He was wearing the damage well, and he had a lot of success in the grappling. Apparently he spent this camp in Dagestan, or he was in Dagestan recently, and you could definitely tell underrated grappling. But Mason Jones knows how to scramble some eggs himself. Go watch that Mike Davis fight. Like I've mentioned many times before, and I'll continue to mention many times again, one of my favorite fights of all time. Mason Jones overcame adversity this fight, dropped early. I know they didn't count it as a knockdown, but his knees buckled. His head was falling faster than the towers were. And Mason Jones, I think he deserves a ranked opponent after this fight. I think Rafael Fiziev is a great opponent for Mason Jones. Next, this guy's got everything. He's got great grappling. He's got great scrambles. He's got fun boxing. He could take damage. It's never over for Mason Jones, and I really hope he gets a ranked opponent next. Fiziev coming off of a knockout loss to Huffy. He's ranked 12. It's not a huge step up in the rankings. I think that's the fight that they need to make next at lightweight. And Axel Sola, taking his first loss on the chin like a man. That's one of those losses when I see this guy's name in the future and I see that 1, or maybe it's a 2 in the future, or 3. I'm going to bring up this fight and say, hey man, don't overlook this Axel Sola guy. He's probably my favorite French prospect. I don't like BSD that much, and I'm a grappler, as you guys know. I like Axel Sola. Showed me a lot of things this fight. Like I said, can't really take away anything negative. Fight of the year, front runner. As I predicted, and keep an eye on Mason Jones. A lot of people forget, man. A lot of people are going to be Mason Jones fans when they see this video, or after they saw that fight card moving forward. But we'll move on to the main card. My last pick that I regret. I wanted to change this immediately after I said it, but I took a risk here. Sometimes you got to take risks. Kurtis Campbell took on Danny Silva in a short fight that ended in the second round. We'll start with Kurtis Campbell, the Pink Panther. This is why you shouldn't get snazzy shorts on your UFC debut, especially when you look like a great value Harry Potter. It was pretty obvious that grappling was his path to victory this fight, and it was also fairly obvious early that that wasn't going to work. That plan was cooked. He got embarrassed at home in Victoria's Secret loungewear. Pretty much what happened. Danny Silva's a serious problem in unranked featherweight. Even Kevin Vallejo said it's one of his toughest opponents he's had to date. Danny Silva's going to be a problem. Give him somebody big next. He's hard to take down. Now, you know, Kurtis had some success, sloppy takedowns, but he's even harder to keep down. Danny Silva's got hands like nobody's business. He can kind of do everything, so This division is just getting more and more fun by the week. Curtis Campbell, it's a tough UFC debut, but it's only his first loss. He's 23 years old, 24 years old. He's young, plenty of time to develop. He needs to clean a few things up. So great win for Danny Silva. I had an inkling he would win this fight, but you know, sometimes you take wrong turns, and I took a wrong turn this fight, and that's okay. We went perfect for the rest of the card. 10-3. That was my third one I got wrong. In the next fight, Roman Dolidze, Christian Leroy Duncan. This was a very fun fight. Dolidze sucks. I don't know why people have been like on Dolidze's train. I've never really been a fan of this guy ever. I don't even think I don't remember the last time I picked him to win. Now he had a little run. You know, he's never been knocked out, so you got to give credit where credit's due. But also I'm gonna point this out too. He said there was some kind of back injury going into his last fight, so I'm not sure if he had some kind of injury going into this one. I doubt it. I don't know why you would take 2 fights in a row with the same injury. Just trying to build a case for his defense, because there's really no other excuse you can make. This guy was butt scooting, terrible takedown attempts, a lot of like unorthodox jiu-jitsu, false reap, no real wrestling takedown attempts, just some weird shit that put him in tough spots that wouldn't work against a lot of guys in middleweight. Christian Leroy Duncan, powerful striker. He was chipping away at Dolidze. You can look at the significant strikes. Don't look at the total strikes. Look at the significant here, because the shots that Dolidze were landing weren't doing shit. He had a spinning back fist, I'll say, that appeared to wobble Christian, but I don't think that Dolidze noticed soon enough to capitalize on it. So this was a great showing for Duncan. He had great kicks, great combinations, mixed it together well. Now, in the third round, I thought he was going to get the knockout. Going into this fight, before the fight, I thought it was going to be a late knockout. I thought Dolidze would be a little bit, you know, durable, as his record suggests he is. He's 8-0 with knockouts, never been knocked out, but I thought Duncan would connect. I thought CLD would get through, especially in the later rounds, and it appears he was, but he gave up a bunch of control time in that last round to Dolidze, and I think that was his saving grace. Dolidze was going to get knocked out if he did not hold on to that back for dear life. So the third round was a little bit dramatic with is Dolidze or is Dolidze not going to finish Duncan with the back take here, but he didn't. And I think Duncan would have finished Dolidze in the third round if he was able to keep it standing. But great win for CLD. Clear decision win. Took rounds 1 and 2. We'll move on to the next fight. On the main card, I like this fight because it's going to be real easy and real quick to hit on. Baraniewski took on Austen Lane. The fake UFC fighter, fake NFL player, real NFL player, I guess, but just not that good of one. Austen Lane, he's going to be featured on the next NFL HBO series, Hard Knocks. He's going to be writing and directing it because he's going back to the NFL. Don't want to see him again in the UFC after this. I mean, it's fun to keep him around to build fighters like Ewo's, you know, highlight reels for whenever they headline Apex events in the future. Little spoiler alert, I might have the script. Baraniewski is going to be headlining an Apex card in June. Get ready for it, boys. Polish Power. Put him down real quick, real early. Fastest knockout of the night. 28 seconds. Good night. Thanks for coming. Fight was over. I want to give a shout out to that one leg kick he landed. Looked really good. Hell yeah, baby. We'll move on to the next fight. Welterweight fight. Most boring fight on the card. Whose fault is it? Michael Venom Page took on Sam Patterson. Sam Patterson coming off of like 4 straight knockout wins in the first round or something crazy. Comes off of that to landing less than 1 significant strike per minute of this fight. I mean, I don't even know where to start with this one. I'll just end with Sam Patterson. It seemed like he was afraid to engage and also commit in any meaningful striking exchanges and combinations this fight. 1 significant strike per minute, not even. I mean, I'm not going to say anything else. I'm not going to say anything else about Sam Patterson. Michael Venom Page, holy fuck. Our expectations for you were already low, but what was that? Not doing much better. They upped the counter after the fight, but during the fight after the third round, they said 22 significant strikes, so barely over 1 significant strike a minute. He was just doing the same thing he always does. He didn't want to engage with Sam Patterson either. He says after the fight, I mean, yeah, it's boring when you get to this level of the UFC, at this level of talent in the world. Nobody wants to engage with you. Sorry, guys. Well, shit, chat. What do you do when somebody doesn't want to engage with you? You engage with them. It's a fucking fight. We didn't see that at all. MVP did nothing good. I mean, I guess his head movement looked good, as it always does. But nothing to take away from this fight except for MVP moving forward is the official bathroom break fighter. They should bury him on the prelims where they put all the other bathroom break fighters. But, you know, I guess it is good to have a bathroom break fighter in the main card. You know, if you have a good main card, you don't want to miss any of the action from the real fighters. You know, Michael Venom Page is coming up to the second or third fight in the main card. You know you'll have time to go to the bathroom. You'll have a solid 15 minutes. So Michael Venom Page, all that fucking nonsense about, oh, they didn't give me a good enough opponent. I'm a celebrity in the UFC. I've made a name for myself. I deserve cream of the crop. Well, shit, we give you Sam Patterson to get a highlight reel going, and you land 27 significant strikes through 15 minutes. We'll move on to the next fight. MVP, what the fuck? Luke Riley took on Michael Aswell in the co-main event. I don't know why this was on the co-main event, but it was. And it was a great showing for Riley. I guess the UK crowd needed that. Slipped shots, landed great counter strikes during the fight. He struggled a little bit against the cage, especially with the grappling everywhere this fight, but he didn't waste a whole lot of time. He was successful getting up to his feet, fighting the hands, using the cage to his advantage. He's got a heavy boxing style, which was very successful for him this fight, but he had so many openings to throw kicks and use other forms of striking besides just your hands. And he started to do that a little bit later on, and I think the commentary booth picked up on it, which the commentary booth, this card was, Michael Bisping should only be allowed to be in Vegas. I think we can only give him mid-cards in Vegas, because we'll get to the main event in a second. He was so bad on. But Luke Riley, yeah, they were the Bisping and the rest of the booth was calling for more kicks. Which they were right, and we did see some there at the end of the fight. So great showing for Riley. Michael Aswell as well. He's durable. He took a lot of hard shots. He did a great job of hiding the damage, not letting Riley see how hurt he really was. Because from our view, from the stands, from at home, you could tell Aswell was really close to being on skates a few different times. But he had some success in the grappling, but not much. Didn't have much success anywhere else. Got dominated for 3 rounds. Great unanimous decision win for Riley. I'd like to see him get more busier. Like I said, more volume, different types of strikes. I think he'd be able to finish more fights. We'll move on to the main event. I try to get through this as fast as I can. We've talked about it on Twitter Spaces, but Movsar Evloev took on Lerone Murphy in a controversial main event. It was a controversial main event. A lot of people are saying it wasn't in my eyes. I'll clear it up. Even I had to clear it up on Aljamain Sterling's thread as well on Twitter. He was throwing a fit for Lerone Murphy, but we'll talk about it. Yeah, this fight was a very close fight. A fight where a point was deducted. We don't see a whole lot of that, and it was rightfully deducted from the guy I picked to win. I picked Movsar to win this fight. And this was a very interesting fight. He came out with an interesting game plan. Didn't use almost any grappling until the end of the 3rd round, I believe. That's where he really started to pick it up. But Movsar Evloev, very calm, cool, collected. He went 1-for-1 with Lerone Murphy for the first 2 rounds. Lerone would land a hard shot. He'd land a hard shot at the same time or right after to follow it up. Movsar did really good at cutting the cage off, staying in Lerone's face, making him think he was going to shoot without even having to set it up, without any level changes, really reaching for the leg or anything. And he had Lerone, second guessing that, I guess just with his reputation. But Movsar Evloev looked really calm, cool, collective. Chose to strike with a lethal striker most of the fight and traded 1-for-1. You got to give that wrestler credit for that. Moved forward, advancing the whole fight. Lerone Murphy, despite the loss, I'm still sort of impressed with him. Now, his takedown defense is non-existent, but his ability to get back up, get to the cage, his awareness, his instincts are all good outside of his takedown defense. You got to clean up that takedown defense. Even if you get back up, just like Sean Strickland, where he's not as good at getting up as Sean Strickland is. That 18-second average in the DDP fight is insane. But Lerone Murphy, he's got to clean up that takedown defense if he wants to do championship fights, especially against guys like Movsar Evloev. But this was a very high-level technical fight from 2 undefeated prospects, a title shot eliminator bout. Movsar should get to fight Volk next. The right fighter won this fight. I'll get into the scorecards in just a second and the totals for the strikes, but I just want to say real quick, in round 4, that was the second nut kick to Lerone Murphy. So they took a point from Movsar Evloev like 30 seconds into the 4th round. Masvidal, we saw a whole different Masvidal. Rounds 4 and rounds 5 were the most clear rounds of the fight. Masvidal turned it up like he was looking for a finish. Like he thought he needed a finish to win that fight, which is the right mentality. It was a very close fight, despite him actually being up on the scorecards. Now, if you had the commentary turned up the entire time, you might completely think otherwise. You might think this is a robbery. You might think that this should have been a draw, which is actually a fair argument. I'll get into it in just a second, but Lerone Murphy, he's lucky, really, that Masvidal didn't shoot any takedowns in the first and second rounds. He's lucky that we had the optics of this being a closer fight than I really believe it was. As for who Lerone Murphy should fight next, I think Gene Silva or Kevin Vallejos would be a great matchup. One of those two. That's the triangle of guys that need to fight each other next. While Masvidal and Volk settle business. But round 4 and round 5, Masvidal was terrifying. So let's get into it. We'll work our way back. I think that might actually be easier when explaining this fight. But the 5th round, clear Masvidal round. I believe at the end of round 3 going into round 4, Lerone told his corner that he felt his hip pop. So there is a potential injury with Lerone Murphy mid-fight. So 5th round, you got to think this is the weakest Lerone's been the entire fight. He's tired. He's just trying to not get finished because Masvidal is actually gas pedal down, full throttle, looking for whatever he can get. And I thought we could have even got more from him, but that was the best we've seen him look in terms of trying to finish a fight in the UFC. So Lerone was in survival mode for rounds 4 and rounds 5. Evloev had a few different takedowns, had great ground and pound, had the better moments at the end of the round, which is great optics for the judges, and more significant strikes, rounds 4 and rounds 5. So he takes those 2 rounds. So he's up those 2 rounds. Now round 4, there's a point deduction, so round 4 is a scratch. So he's really up 1 round in the last 2. Round 3, a very close round, just like the first 2 rounds. But round 3, a very important sequence happens at the last 30-25 seconds. Masvidal gets a little bit of control time, gets Lerone down against the cage. Lerone's covering up. He's standing back up against the cage. From the optics, from the way the round ended, if that round went another 10, 20, 30 seconds, it would have been a lot damage for Masvidal. So you give Masvidal rounds 3. I don't see a whole lot of rebuttal with anything that I've said so far. So he's won rounds 3, rounds 4, rounds 5, and he's lost a point. So if Masvidal lost the first 2 rounds, it would be a draw. And the first 2 rounds were very close. The fighters went pretty much strike for strike, tit for tat, 1 for 1. But the difference was Masvidal was pressuring forward. Masvidal was putting Lerone Murphy on the back foot against the cage in a couple scenarios where he was looking for an exit. Masvidal was successfully cutting him off. I gave Masvidal round 2. You could argue Lerone Murphy got round 2, but it was not clear. It was not a clear round for anybody. Neither was round 1. But I gave Masvidal round 2, and I gave round 1 to Lerone Murphy. With the commentary booth, they were giving a lot of credit to Lerone Murphy. It was up to Lerone Murphy that the fight was on the feet for the first 15 minutes or whatever it was. That was Masvidal's choice that the fight was on the feet, and that should tell you if it's his choice that's on the feet, he's not really getting outstruck, not clearly, and he's pressuring forward. Are you really going to score it against that guy? Seriously. Masvidal Evloev, in my eyes, won rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5, and with 1 point deduction, that still gives him a 2-point win. Even if you gave Lerone Murphy rounds 1 and rounds 2. Masvidal takes 3, 4, and 5 and loses a point. That's a draw. I'm glad we saw one judge give this a draw here. That shows, they were looking. I don't want to see complete consistency in a close fight. I want to see a little bit of, a fairness, right? Okay, if one judge wants to give it to this, another judge wants to give it to that guy, then there's a tiebreaker judge. I like this. I thought it was a great decision. I thought the right fighter won. Title shot inbound for Masvidal Evloev. Lerone Murphy, it's not over. It's not the end of the world. 17-1. It's your first loss. Gene Silva, Kevin Vallejos. Loser has to defend his spot in the rankings for a little bit. This is a thick division. This was a great fight card. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It had a little bit of everything almost. A little bit of controversy. Some boring decision. Great technical fights. Great decisions. Knockouts. Just no submissions. Which is fine. But maybe in the future we'll get a little bit. But that's my full recap, full card reaction. Everything you need to know about UFC London. And I will have my UFC Seattle predictions video up this week, but please leave me a thumbs up, drop a comment below, let me know what you thought. Did you think it was a robbery? Do you think Lerone Murphy should have won? Build your case, let me know below, and I'll see you for the next one. Thank you so much for watching.